All right, so we're thrilled to welcome three visitors from the Basque Country. I mean, real leaders in gastronomy, and so we have Adela and Eneko and Joxe Maria, and I'll introduce them in a minute. Let me just say we have actually quite a long relationship with the Basque Country. It was back in 2010 that we deployed a full-scale prototype of the city car in Vitoria, and it was then when I discovered just how incredible the food was and the wine in that area, and we built relationships. We've had a long-standing relationship with Technoon. We've had a whole series, what, Louis, 15 or 20 maybe visiting students from, maybe more, over the years, and they're all doing interesting things now. And through that, I met Adela some years ago. She's amazing. She directs the master's program there at the Basque Culinary Center, and she organized with Luis Alonso here this Gastronomy and Beyond series of talks. They'll talk about that in a minute. And Adela is now a research affiliate with the City Science Group here at the Media Lab. So we have all kinds of new projects underway. And Joxe Mari is the, where is he? Oh, over here. He's the general manager of the Basque Culinary Institute. By the way, they brought me this jacket today, so I'm I guess an honorary chef or something like that. And it's one of the great culinary centers of the world, I think, on par with the Culinary Institute of America and Cordon Bleu and a few others. We've had a chance to visit there some months ago, and it's really a terrific facility there in San Sebastian, and we're talking about a number of possible collaborations. And we have Eneko, who is one of the great young chefs. I should say in the Basque Country, I am told, I think this is true, that there are more Michelin star restaurants per capita than anywhere else on the planet. Is that true? Okay, it is true. But Eneko is amazing because he has a total of 6 Michelin stars, 3 for one of his restaurants, Azurmendi. And by the way, he treated our whole team, City Science team, to just an incredible meal, one of the most amazing culinary experiences of my life some months ago. But then he has many other restaurants, but he has 3 other restaurants, each with 1 Michelin star, one in the UK, one in Japan. So he's a real incredible chef, but also an entrepreneur. But he's way more than a chef and an entrepreneur. He's also, I have come to realize, interested in hospital food, for example. We're developing a project where he's reinventing hospital food. And I love this story because he started looking at the hospital food and how it was served. And he said, well, we can't, before we start thinking about the food, we have to redesign these hospital trays because you can't put great food on these ugly trays. So just as an example of how he thinks. He's thinking about food in schools and education. He also has a green Michelin star as one of the most sustainable restaurants on the planet. So anyway, welcome to all of you. So what we're going to do is Adela and Luis will talk a little bit about the series they put together, and then the 4 of us will have a panel discussion. So Luis and Adela.
So thank you very much indeed. We are absolutely excited. This is a dream come true. Thank you to all the people that are with us. And we're just going to talk a little bit, how did all begin? How did Gastronomy and Beyond begin?
And she gave me the mic. But everything began with a glass of wine, like everything. So I met Adela 1 year ago in the RCC, that is at Harvard. So, and it was, I don't remember the event, but I was there, and then we started having a conversation. And in the first second I was like, okay, we have to do something. And then I don't know how we start like, like trying to do something like easy, like nice. And then you visit us for a week. And that triggered everything, because then Kent was like, hey, Adela, so I want to have something about food and territory. Tell me, what should I do? And so in my mind was like, okay, so we are gonna think about, data. I mean, we are city science, so I was thinking like, like quantitative data, KPIs, blah blah blah. And then Adela, you start like making Gastronomy and Beyond, and I want to ask you like how that happened, and how did you put all these people together to talk about Beyond Food, no?
Yeah. And I think that's something that we agreed on. We were thinking that definitely gastronomy is much more than food, is much more than a fancy restaurant. And we wanted to discover together and find out what is that beyond. So that's something that we also invite you today to find out. That beyond means a lot of things. So this is the way it started. So what we did was invite people that know a lot about that beyond. And in those people, Eneko was there.
Yeah, he was the first one.
Yeah. Joxe Mari was there, of course. And definitely Kent as well, because he cooks very well.
Yeah, that's for the people that has not followed the Gastronomy and Beyond. I mean, actually, we are gonna have a next round this next semester. But so we have been inviting like very reputed chef like Neko, people that are changing the vision of gastronomy, and then innovator people like Kent, like just to talk a little bit about what is beyond food, and that means the food around food. We are building communities. People don't realize that what you eat is impacting you in many ways. But also, what I have learned a little bit is like restaurants. They can change an entire city and an entire community to be more sustainable, more pro-social, and even and of course increase the economic element. So I have been learning a lot during this period. So I don't know, Adela. So what you have learned?
What did I learn? I learned that that we all have in common food, and food can change so many things, that we have to think about it. The food is culture, is heritage, is place, is cities, is life, is nutrition, is health, is people, is enjoyment, and many more things. But shall we continue with our guests?
Yeah, let's go for we are not the interesting ones. Right? So let's invite. Come on, Eneko, Joxe Mari,
Yeah.
Kent, join us.
I think, yeah, but I think first,
Do you want to do it one by one? Okay. Okay.
yeah,
So
I think first we'll listen to Joxe Mari. It's an honor for me to introduce Joxe Mari Aizega, because we've been working together for many years. And believe me, if I say something in this place, I couldn't admire him more. His mind is something else when he thinks about gastronomy. And thank you very much, Joxe Mari. It's an honor, really. Thank you. Joxe Mari Aizega, General Manager, Basque Culinary Center.
Thank you so much, Adela. You're a friend. Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share what we do and how we see, I would say, part of the future at Basque Culinary Center. I have some slides. 15 years ago, a group of chefs, Eneko was one of them, 7 chefs with an university, Mondragon University, created a non-profit. That profit was created, I would say, from the culinary perspective, but understanding that gastronomy was going to be a very important sector for the future. We understood that gastronomy was not only about fine dining restaurants, but was, I would say, a very wide sector, and that could have a very positive impact in the future. And our mission is to develop that potential. We understood that gastronomy is a value chain, and when we talk about gastronomy, we talk about food production, about industry, about hospitality sector, about tourism, gastronomy tourism, about consumers. Of course, has a cultural part, economical part, sustainability part, that our mission was going to be to develop that perspective, and also with a multidisciplinary perspective. Okay, I'm here in Media Lab. I know what you think about multidisciplinary. So from the very beginning, we thought we are going to have a holistic perspective of gastronomy, and we are going to work with that area. And so we, of course, we do a lot of cooking. Also, we have our own garden. We dedicate a lot about food production, agriculture, hospitality, wine and drinks, part also of gastronomy, tourism, more and more important. More and more people decide where to go, what to visit because of gastronomy. Food industry also. We can say that there are different food industries. Part of the food industry is more and more interested in quality and in value, and we are promoting that. Also foraging, part of nature, to develop this, I would say, traditional knowledge of wild plants and to bring them into modern gastronomy, sustainability in different ways of new techniques, avoiding food waste, using whole products. Also, science is part of gastronomy. I mean, many times, I would say in the history, we haven't dedicated too much time to understand why things happen when we cook and when traditional cooking. So we dedicate also an important part to science and cooking, creativity, digital transformation also. We created 5 years ago a living lab to work on digital gastronomy, transformation of gastronomy. So with this perspective, in these 14 years, we have created a wide ecosystem. We have students, and at the moment we have 600 students from 35 countries that are coming probably to learn and to get educated, but with a different vision of gastronomy, not a classical culinary perspective, but modern vision of gastronomy. We have a PhD program, at the moment 11 master programs. So we found that there are many professions in gastronomy, so we are trying to give a specialization to each one. Also, we created a research and innovation center, a living lab, an entrepreneurship program, and also, yeah, we do organize a lot of events, a lot of activities. And now we are engaged in 2 big projects. I'm going to talk a little bit about one, that is GOE, Gastronomy Open Ecosystem, dedicated to research and innovation, and another project called IDA, Drinks and Wine Campus, dedicated to drinks and wine. So because we see very nice opportunities there to promote this vision of gastronomy. To finish, I wanted to bring here trends, probably I don't like very much, but I wanted to send this message. These 10 ideas in which we are working, we are promoting at the Basque Culinary Center, thinking on the future and how gastronomy can contribute to develop a change in the food systems of the future. So first one is proximity. More and more, we are promoting closed circuits of farm to table, developing connections between food producers, with restaurants, with supermarkets. So I think proximity will be one idea of development in the future. Second, I think more and more we are concerned about animal welfare, and it's also a very big movement in food production, in animal production, and this is a photography of pigs in Extremadura, the Iberic ham. So animal welfare. Third, we were discussing this lunch. Of course, how is it coherent to promote proximity and food natural production, and at the same time to promote alternative proteins? We think yes, because I think this is happening, and we want to promote and to be engaged in these projects, in also finding the new way of producing food for the future. Fourth, transparency. More and more we have the tools, digital tools, and we are asking for transparency in the logistics, in the food production, and I think this is going to be important for the future. Fifth, experience. Now we live and we look for experiences in everything. And also, if we want to make markets attractive, or we want to make real food attractive, we have to think also in terms of experiences. So experience is important. Sixth, the science is helping us in finding personalized diets because of microbiota knowledge, or because of more and more knowledge we are gathering, more personalized nutrition. Seventh, the pleasure of cooking. I mean, internet is full of recipes. It's full of, I mean, now there are no excuses not to cook, because probably in the week and when we are working, we are cooking less at home, but cooking has become part of lifestyle, of leisure time. So the passion of cooking, we organize a lot of courses for foodies, and you can feel that passion. And this is, I think, something to be promoted. Eighth, talent. We need to keep attracting passionate young talent to our sector. Probably at the moment is one of the challenges of the restaurant sector, is to attract young talent to our sector. So talent is key for the future. Ninth, ecosystems. Probably in gastronomy, we don't have a super big company, but we have an incredible ecosystem of different communities, passionate food producers, winemakers, chefs. There are so many communities that we can connect to create a big ecosystem. That is important. And the final one, I think the world is now in this path, better instead of more. We have been engaged in always seeking for growth, always more and more and more, and now we are facing a problem. And in gastronomy, we are in this promoting this idea, no? Better tourism instead of more tourism, better instead of more. And I think it's also part of the solution of the future. So yeah, that's what we do at the BCC, how we think. And this is a final slide, a photograph of the building that we are in the process of building at the moment. This next July will be finished and will be dedicated, as I said, to research and innovation. So it will be a pleasure to have you here in next July. Please come. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, Joxe Mari. So definitely there is much more than a fancy restaurant, as you can see. But talking about fancy restaurants, let me introduce again Eneko Atxa. Definitely Kent Larson said many things about Eneko Atxa, and he probably agrees with me that knowing him is loving him. He is such a special person. Please listen very carefully. Big round of applause for you.
Hi. Thank you, Adela. I am a chef. I don't know why, really, but I am a chef from more than 20 years. In the Basque Country, you have to decide what do you want to be the rest of your life, very young. and I didn't prepare. Didn't ready 20 years or 25 years ago. But I don't know why I decided that taste in the gastronomy industry. I started and I discovered one incredible world. Why? Because in the beginning, I had the opportunity to study in one culinary school, and overall, I have the opportunity to learn something different every day. I never cooked before in my home. My grandma, yes. My mom, yes. I enjoy in the epicentric of the home, in the kitchen, listening the stories, learning the conversation of my parents, and I love it to eat, no cook. But I discovered one incredible job. After I have opportunity also after that my culinary school to visit other famous chefs around the Basque Country and learn with them. And in this moment, I feel that, okay, you start to imagine your future and say, okay, maybe I will build one restaurant one day, and my restaurant will be like this or like this. My dishes will be like this, and the dream comes true. And in 2005, I opened my restaurant Asumedi. We worked cooking the best dishes that we can. And we also follow the same tendencies in these years, like slow food and other things. That was the big interest for me. And in 2012, we opened a new restaurant, because my first restaurant, I opened it with 25 years. And every year that happened was the same thing, that I think, okay, I want to change my restaurant because noise like I imagined in the beginning. And 2012, finally, I opened my actual restaurant is Asurmendi, and it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because I offered something different in 2012. I didn't want that one restaurant where welcome the people and the people sit, eat, and leave. I wanted one restaurant when the people feel that is eating in the Basque Country, that is receiving more than food, that is receiving part of my culture, part of my soul, part of my ingredients, part of the work that the farmers are doing for us before that switch on the lights in the kitchen. One restaurant that was different. And then happened something incredible for one chef. We achieved in the same year, in 2012, 3 Michelin stars. And was like, wow, is the end of our dream? No, we are in the beginning of the dream, because we understand the gastronomy like one universal language with different dialects. Because like Joxe Mari explained, we don't believe in the gastronomy is only fine dining. We think that you can cook other styles also, other concepts also. And then we created around the world different concepts also. We have Asumendi like a fine dining, like we are translating our culture for the people, but we have other concepts, other informal concepts, where we have the possibility also to translate it, our culture in other dialects, gastronomic dialects. But in all this year, I understand something very, very strong in my side and very special. That is that we are receiving and achieving a lot of knowledge that we are using only for the restaurant. Why? No, we have to use this knowledge for other things also. I am very lucky. I have more that never imagined before. And then I say, okay, we have to create something special with our knowledge for the society. And then the impact of the food knowledge for the society can be something extraordinary. We start to work in the other kitchen. In the regular kitchens, you can find the casseroles, the pans, fire, but on the other kitchen that we created in 2012, you have people, persons, pencils, and ideas. Ideas about terms that in our industry in 2012, anybody think, like a sustainability, like a health, and like a social compromise. About some very short examples after we have more time to explore different things if you want. But about sustainability, I explained before that before that 2012, I had ideas and follow the concept like a slow food, because I think that is very important. What are you putting in your plate? The ingredients, the content that you are putting in the plate is important, but it's also important where you are doing this in your restaurant, because a lot of chefs in the industry are thinking in the sustainability dishes, but where? And then we think that we have to build one restaurant on the same line, creating one restaurant sustainable, no 100% perfect sustainable. It's imperfect, absolutely, today also. But we try every day to change things with big concepts and sometimes with small details also. And for this, we created one restaurant with photovoltaic panels, with geothermia, with 18 holes to achieve the energy from underground. We're recycling the rainwater also. We use for the building the restaurant a lot of recycling materials. We created one seed banks with more than 400 seeds that was a point of disappear in the Basque Country also. We created a lot of different concepts inside the restaurant and also outside the restaurant with the community, with the city hall of the small town that is Azurmendi in Larrabetzu, with more or less 1,000 people living in this area, creating the compost areas for the food waste, creating the visit cards with the seed that was a point of disappear that the people plant after at home and promote this way, creating one network and net farmers work with the community of the farmers that is very close to the restaurant. And one example, simple example. But for example, when a lot of magazines from around the world are asking for recipes, Eneko, Azurmendi, please send one recipe. You decide. Okay. More or less for 1 year, we sent the recipes that was one thing in common all the time for all the magazines. 1,000 recipes, 1,000 with one thing in common. What? One ingredient is the purple onion from Saya, from one small town in the Basque Country. And why? Because we promoted one lady that was behind this incredible product that anybody knows what is this. And after that 6 months, a lot of people from the community of the chef from the Basque Country call and ask, what is this ingredient that you are publishing in all the magazines? This is one ingredient that you have to know and you have to discover, but overall you have to discover the lady that is behind this ingredient. And today, this lady is working in one community, not alone, in one community, the ladies that is working behind this ingredient. Then, we are a very small project, but we can promote and we can push the communities with the focus that the magazines and the publishing and the other people put from Azurmendi. And this is important for us in the sustainable terms. I will continue with the other thing that we are working using our knowledge, the health. The number one thing that I observed in Azurmendi, in our restaurant, we are a lot of chefs working in Azurmendi. And you know what happened? That the chefs don't take a time to eat like a regular person. Eat very bad every day. Is cooking marvelous things for the guest. and not have the capacity to eat, sitting, relax, good food, healthy food. Then we change, and with specialists, people, with people from the other disciplines, this is something very important for Asumendi. We started to cook the healthy food for the people that is working in Asumendi, because if not, it's impossible translated the same energy for the guests that will visit you. Second time, the second point was, okay, now we will create a different systems to cook the high quality for the people that have allergies, restriction, and other things. Number 3, we say, okay, we are eating well, our guests are eating well. Now we have to translate the same idea to the society. And how is the best way? We, with the local public hospital, we connected and we offer ourselves to create one book with different chapters, together with the doctors from the hospital, to people with diabetes, with cancer, with obesity, with different things, that created one tool for the people at home can cook very simple food, short recipes in short time with easy ingredients every day at home. Number 3, we created with the same tools that have the hospital, food for the hospital. We use our knowledge for 3 Michelin stars to cook, to design the food for the hospital also. Putting the creativity in the hands of the chefs that are working normally or regularly in the hospitals, and change the paradigm of the food in the hospitals. This one project that also now I am very happy also to start. We are ready with one project here in US also, with people that we have here, close to here. And we are working in different things also, but also we are a very lucky people, like before I say. And then all the time we have close to us the TV, magazines, and I don't like too much. But I think and I understand that we can use this also to promote the society or the organizations that need our help. And for us, the last thing that we can do with our knowledge and with our image was the social compromise also to change the world. Then we continue in Asumendi cooking or trying to cook something excellent, but on the other side, in the other kitchen, we are trying to cook a better future. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Eneko. A better future. I think it's time for a round table now. So please, 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 yes, sit down with me. I think everybody has a mic. Yes? Yes? Yeah. Sit down. Kent, do you have a mic? Yes, there you go. And okay, we will have a small debate here, a small colloquium, but especially also you will have the word afterwards, so will be some questions and answers, we hope. But the first question that I would like to mention is there is something that you show. It's a very general question. Because I'm very optimistic myself. Kent was saying that he's very optimistic. I am as well. Can we empower the future through gastronomy?
Absolutely. The gastronomy is the tool that everybody can use to change the world.
Well, maybe I can do a follow-up question for Eneko. So we have these 2 trends we see with food. One is industrial, processed, and production at scale. And some people say that's needed to feed 9 billion people. We have this other trend, which is local and fresh and healthy and clean. how can we bring the best of those two worlds together? In other words, take these the trends that we all appreciate, but take them to scale to feed everyone on the planet.
I think that we have to believe in our farmers. They are the protector of our culture, of our landscape, of our future also. If you travel to Japan, for example, you can understand that they enjoy with the food, but on the same time, they use the gastronomy like a tool to find the road to the more wellness life. And then I think that the food is something that is accessible for uh, some people that we are living in the first world, and we have to use like something very smart way.
I think, yeah, I think uh, we we need to work on the connection with real food, because it's happening that when you lose the connection of how food has been produced, how it has been cooked, um, you lose connection with nature, with community, with also with I would say the origin and the authenticity. So I think probably the the population that we will be in the future will need a scale and industry, but from gastronomy we are working in promoting the balance, no? And the balance of communities and the connection and the consciousness about what we eat, how we eat, and why we eat.
Should we start with the children?
Yes, but before I will say that we, like chefs, are super protect now, like chefs. Oh, it's something very cultural, it's important, they take care with the chefs. But I think that the farmers are more important than the chefs. Absolutely. No have doubt. And about your question, I think that is the key. Absolutely. If we create one program with education program where we will show to the young or the kids generation what is the connection with the farmers, if we teach what is the best day of the week to buy and how you have to buy in the market, and we teach also to cook, and but together with the other discipline people, with experts in the farmers way, with experts in the buy coaching, with experts in the kitchen, with experts from the healthy industry also. And if we teach also what they have to do with the food waste and everything, you are giving the power to one very young generation that in 10 years will be in avant-garde of a lot of different and important terms, like a health, like a sustainability, like a connection with the farmers. It's, for me, is complex but simple on the same time. We have to create with different discipline people, with different from the different knowledge, one program where using the food, where the people, where the kids will catch a lot of information to be more sustainable, more healthy, and more social compromise.
Something that I have learned during the Gastronomy and Beyond is like to be honest, I was kind of not understanding anything. See, I always thought that like high cuisine was a elite kind of thing, and I was like, okay, that's something that is not affordable. Only few people can access to this. But then working with Eneko and with Joxe Mari and Adela and Kent, I realized that that is I mean, like, it's amazing that it's all about totally different topic. I mean, like, food at the end of the day is the less expensive part of the process. So when we were talking about hospitals and hotels and schools and food over there, and you are like, you say, listen, I'm working with food that is amazing and it's only $3 per dish. That's something that I was like, what? Wow, how can you do that, no? And Maggie actually was like in the room saying, no, can we spend $5 in the step of 3? And you were like, no, with $3 we can make an amazing food. So I think like, and this is a little bit with Ken's question, because we are in a system that we have built this industrialized kind of production of food that has a lot of, like middle people in the chain, etc. But if we rethink the entire system, maybe we can find a new way of feeding the planet in a sustainable way, because at the end of the day, the food is the less expensive part of the entire chain. So I don't know, what do you think about that? But I like.
Yeah.
Well, you answered already. No, but you say, I mean, for me, it has been when we started 15 years ago, a group of chefs that they were in fine dining, but with the time they have been promoting all these years, and I would say in Basque Country, but there is a community all over the world, like another vision of gastronomy and the importance that, okay, fine dining is one part, but gastronomy, it's a much more wider concept. And we are talking about the pleasure of eating. All of us, we have memories of you eat something, wow, that's so tasty. But now I think it's pleasure, the pleasure of eating, sustainability. We have talked about this, no? Food systems and sourcing and health. This triangle, it's for me very important for the future.
Yeah, I was last week in Azurmendi and just visiting, and I was driving and going there. It's easy, but it is in a village. So I really thought how he did this here. It's so brave in a way. It's in a village. So the question is, how can a restaurant, and this is a question for you, of course, and also for Kent, gastronomy and territory, what is the connection? What can it do for a territory, for a city?
Yes, was not brave, was crazy, but was one plan for the long part of my life, and then I have to feel comfortable, and I feel comfortable in this area because it's my area, very close to the nature, very close to the story that I want to translate when I am cooking. Because like before I say, the cook or the food is one language to translate it, who you are, where you are, on what is your idea that understand the world. And my idea is very clean, is very connected with my landscape, with my past, with my classic cuisine that I received some years ago, but the contemporary way. And then I don't think that to Azurmendi can find other better place. Yes, for other places that we open it around the world with other concepts, but Azurmendi only have a sense very close to the nature, nice connection also with the city, but have to be something a part of the real life.
Apart from the real life. So, well, Kent, what do you think is the connection with gastronomy and territory?
Well, there's always been a very tight connection. I mean, when we were hunters and gatherers, cities weren't possible. People had to be on the move. When with agriculture 6,000 years ago, people had to stay put. So they created walled cities. They put the olive trees inside the walls, and then the fields were outside. But production was near consumption. It was all in harmony. It was like a natural ecosystem. Then in the 19th century, we had trains, and so production could be remote. And cities then just expanded because of that, in part, and industrialization. Now we're now we have the possibility of going back to earlier times, sort of the best of what we lost, production near consumption, but with the best of the future, all of the innovation that Joxe Mari talked about. And it's a really exciting time because I think we can look backwards and forwards at the same time and recapture some of what we lost, this connection to food that's produced near where people consume it.
Connection to food, connection to roots. What do you think? What is the connection? Because definitely in the Basque Country, gastronomy is very important. Everybody's talking during lunch. We are talking about what we are going to have for dinner. That's we are talking about food the whole time. Yes. So, what do you think the connection with the territory is?
Well, I'm, for example, I'm really happy the conversations we have had this morning, and to think about the future of the cities, and to think how gastronomy and food is part of this strategy and this future, no? And I think it's again at the Basque Country we have probably a density of gastronomic culture and in our culture and in our lifestyle, and but I think there is a nice opportunity at the same time challenge how we introduce food in the center of the city lives, no? In terms of sourcing communities, promoting small also businesses, because also I think big companies are taking over more and more space in the cities, and we need to promote individuals, individual entrepreneurs, I would say from restaurants, markets, retail. So I think that's a lot of things to do.
You know, I experienced something really amazing in Shanghai 2 weeks ago. In the French concession, I noticed on one street there were waiters carrying trays of food up and down the street all the time, and dishes back to us. And with a Chinese friend, that's what's going on here. Well, it turned out a lot of these storefronts had gone out of business during the pandemic. They were empty. So a little teeny restaurant with a few tables leased out these spaces in random places down the street. And they took over another kitchen here in a little alley. They were preparing rice. And they gave people wireless call buttons to call for the waiter from these distributed places. And it was just an amazing example of this kind of bottom-up entrepreneurship, creative response to need. Now, they probably violated all the health codes. I mean, the guy in the restaurant would not talk about it. I wanted to interview him, and no. So, but I think this kind of bottom-up creative, creativity is something that we should all try. But you're at the very high end. But how do we like encourage all this bottom-up innovation?
But I think that the important know is how is your restaurant, if it's high level or is something very humble. The important thing is how you use your creativity to make something different to the other.
So I think that is a super good, safe path to a question that is always like, no, we are in MIT, so what is the future of technology? Actually, Joxe Mari, you were talking about technology and food, but I think we are beyond. It's not only the chemistry, it's not only the tools. I don't know, like, do you have any thoughts about how the new technologies, the AI, and all of these kind of things are gonna be impacting in this world, or?
Well, I think we are lucky in some part because food is about eating. So I hope we are going to preserve that.
Maybe not.
Well, there will be some election, no, probably. So I will go for to physical experience, but it is true that the sector is in using the tool in management, in the back office of the restaurant, and also front office in the connection with the social networks and the connection with the customer. So I wouldn't say that the use of technology and digital tools is already in gastronomy. But at the same time, well, now seriously, I mean, it's food and drinks. It's about sensory experiences. So yeah, I think that will be part of our life in the future. You can say, for example, coming from Spain, tourism, hospitality sector is incredible. It's boosting. I mean, after the COVID, we are already 4 years after that, and people are still enjoying so much life, no? So that will be also part of our future.
Mm. I think I think it's time to open mics and get your questions. But let me just give an example that I always repeat this example, and we were talking about that before. Eneko was talking about hospitals, and in a previous conversation, Eneko said something about hospitals, that why when you go to a hospital, they give you a gray tray with food that doesn't look very nice. And for a second, I realized I never thought those trays could be different, so we're just so familiar to that. So this is about gastronomy and beyond. But now, let's listen to your questions. Is there any question you would like to ask? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, there is a mic going. Yeah,
Hi.
thank you.
Hi. So I had a question about urban vertical farming for hydroponics, and if that's really a possibility, if you think that that will be necessary to bring the communities in on the future of gastronomy. Does that make sense?
Vertical.
Huertas verticales.
Granjas verticales únicas.
When we opened it in Asurmendi in 2012, one of the areas of the restaurant, I comment before that we put it one seed banks with 400 seed banks. The other part of the investigation was that created a hydroponic vertical tomatoes area also, and I think that is something very, very interesting to explore and necessary overall. More that places that Asurmendi that is outside of the city, in places like big cities, and I think it's very, very interesting. Yes, for me at the moment, the quality, I don't know too much about this, but the quality is a little bit far that my farmers offer me. When I recollected my hydroponics tomatoes, no was the high quality tomatoes. My opinion is that my farmers give me the better tomatoes that I had. It's true that we achieved that have under control all the system, the energy, super sustainable, but the quality no was like I wish it. But now for this year, for the last part of this year, we will start again with one smart vegetable garden to achieve something medium and the smartest technology using for achieve in less land plant more food also, but very, very interesting for me. Yes.
You have to try Ken's tomatoes, I guess.
Well, Eneko doesn't know this, but I have like 6-foot tomatoes, hydroponic tomatoes in my basement right now. And last year I did a shootout with my dirt tomatoes, and my hydroponics were better. But you probably have better dirt farmers than than I have, than I am. But we looked at we did some work some years ago I was excited about building integrated, hydroponics food production, and it turned out what didn't make sense because the cost of conditioning a small space like on a facade, keeping it cooled and heated and without the big thermal swings it was just too energy intensive. Better to put them in a parking garage, underground, and use really efficient LED lights. but I think it's possible, you know, to do it in kind of low value areas of the city, under bridges, or like Amsterdam, where you have all of these greenhouses around the city producing food at scale. It's not vertical, although they have tomato plants that are 20 feet high at times, but but the point is, it's using new technology to produce really high quality food with very little wastage near the point of consumption. I think that's really critical.
Any more questions? Do we have any more questions? Yeah, we do have some questions.
Hi, so I'm monitoring the questions online and we have one from Sebas. Sebas is asking, I'm in my design master's thesis and my topic is chicken organs and how to use them in different ways to avoid meat food waste. One, what recommendations do you have? And secondly, Eneko, would you be my master's tutor?
Está usando los chicken, el hígado del... Sí, que los está usando. ¿Quieres saber qué?
Cómo utilizarlos y cómo hacer food waste. Cómo evitar food waste.
But no, it's food waste. We use normally the chicken liver and all the part of the chicken to create one pate. Pate. We created one chicken pate, and then it's super easy. And the way to cook is simple. For example, you can put a garlic, a chicken liver, a little bit cognac if you like, flambe, and after you have to create like a mousse, put in a mold. You have one incredible, and one more. If you put in the fridge and after pass from chocolate, you have the one incredible salad bonbon. Nice.
I
And
think
it's,
it deserves an
noise-
applause. Come on.
Noise waste. This is
Thank you. It looks so easy.
So I was wondering, with all of this like food production that we're in our eating and consumption that we're always taking from nature, and so I'm wondering like maybe some of the beyond, like what are the ways in which we can put back, give back rather than going for net zero?
¿Cómo podemos darle a la naturaleza? Yeah, yeah.
a lot of examples, but for example, after I give you my visit card, is one of the things that I promote. No, when I visited Japan, my first time was very impressive. When you meet somebody, the card. We are living in the technology age, but the first thing that you can receive in around the world is one visit card. And I say, oh, something is crazy here. Something is no good. And then how we can change things with small details. We created one visit cards and we sticky in the visit cards seat that was a point of disappear. Then when I give you my card, I say you broke the, please take a picture, broke the card and please plant and after cook your visit card and you are promoting that something that is a point of disappear, you will put in value again. And this is small details that are changing the small ecosystems, but more ecosystems chaining in the end of the year is something big. I think that.
And I think also we are interested in the values of the people. No? I mean, many times, of course, in giving back to the nature, we can talk about organic farming, regenerative farming, and I think we have the opportunity, being an educational institution, to work on the values of the people. And people with the right values, they will find the details, the ways of transforming certain practices that are not sustainable. No? And I think there are a lot of things to change, and it's a complex situation because food production and farming is really complex. But also, if we concentrate in promoting the values of students, professionals, citizens, we can promote change.
I think we've
Yeah, thank you. I have been fascinated by all this connection between the hospitals and gastronomy. I'm in the medical engineering field, and that's why it's really like relevant. So in medicine, we are trying to go into like personalized medicine, right? And I was wondering, how do you connect like all this latest research on diet, gut-brain connection, inflammation, into these culinary masterpieces, but also that with the purpose that they will impact health, mental health, maybe mood, cognition, and beyond?
Good question. It's something strong and it's a big challenge, but I think that using the knowledge and the creativity we can do. We have to create different inputs or chapters, and we have to work one by one, chapter by chapter, and no is case by case because it's almost impossible. But yes, if you are putting with the big data in a different chapters, a different description of the necessities of the people, you can create for each part of this community of the people that it's in the hospital different things. And we have real examples. For example, for the book that we did, and after we created menus, we did with the different doctors chapters for, I need your translation now because it's something specific. Hicimos capítulos para personas con insuficiencia renal,
Renal insufficiency,
Thank you so much.
insuficiencia cardíaca,
The heart, yeah.
cardiac insufficiency,
obesidad infantil,
yeah, like child obesity,
cáncer,
cancer,
embarazo y lactancia,
pregnancy,
Pregnant,
and
yes.
yeah, and like
y tercera edad también.
aging,
Yes.
yeah.
Entonces, entendíamos,
Go back to English.
sorry, we understood, speaking with different doctors, what is the necessity of these patients. And the doctor told me, for example, a simple example, normally when I cook cauliflower, I use the water that boil on the cauliflower after to make a cream because it's very special, it's very nice for me. And then the doctor of insuficiencia renal told me, no, Eneko, you can't use the water that cook the cauliflower. It's super bad for your patients. And then you are doing everything, a lot of different, for me, do something, recipes, is simple. And doesn't matter if it's very high level or it's simple, or if it's very expensive or super cheap. No, it's a problem for me. You have to use the creativity to cook, and I am working for this for a long time. The complex thing for me is that you don't have the information that need to cook for somebody that have very big specification diet. But then when you are working with one doctor, or when you are working with somebody that is expert in the logistic in the hospital, you can change the things. It's only work. No, it's a big challenge because you need a long time to do. But we are doing. No, it's simple. Really, I promise you, it's simple.
And I would add to that, when we created Basque Culinary Center with this multidisciplinary approach, before that, there was a gap between scientists and chefs. I mean, there was no common dialogue there. And we decided that we weren't going to have an education where we could create professionals that were able to dialogue with science at the same time cook. So this science and cooking, it's for me, yeah, a win-win relation.
Thank you.
So do we have any more questions?
Oh, here.
Oh, great.
Yes, when you were talking about scaling earlier, obviously the small farmers that you work with do an amazing job. How do you engage with big farming that has so much more impact, like that impact, and policymakers? Because there's been many attempts to policy changes, and then there is pushback. And in the end, the ones that are the most detrimental to this industry is big farming. So how do you engage with them to transform their practices?
It's terrible, and I think that is today is impossible for us to have the enough power to change the politics that are influencing to the farmers' world. I think the unique key or the important thing is like Joxe Mari comment before, we have to give the power to and the protagonismo, protagonism to the farmers community. But it's complicated. We created one college and myself created together one platform with around the chef from around the world is best farmers. We connected with a chef from a lot of countries and we say, please, following these inputs, packaging, traceability, tasty and different inputs, let me now please, who is in your country the best farmer in the chapter of the vegetables, the best farmers in the chapter of the I don't know, the bakery and other chapters. And with the generosity of a lot of chefs from around the world, we created one incredible, almost big data with a lot of information about the best farmers. And our idea was only to put in value, no work like intermediaries. No, put in value these farmers. But today, 4 years after, we are waiting that somebody support us with this project. And no, it's one project that we want to make money, nothing. It's only to put in value the farmers. And you are knocking the doors in the food industry, and the people say always the same answer. It's wonderful, but no more. Yes, and then it's something complicated.
Yeah, I think absolutely agree. I think it's too complex from gastronomy on, of course, for us to change the politics of farming. What we can do is to promote the ones that are doing well. I mean, it's probably is the only way. No, let's promote the ones that are doing well. And I would say, if you look back in 10 years, gastronomic restaurants are more committed to give visibility and to promote small farmers. And well, that's a way of also giving them economy, but also giving them visibility for their customers. You go to a restaurant and you listen so often the stories about our farmers, our products. So what we have to do is to give them to these small communities of farmers help, intelligence, technologies. I mean, we have to help them because they are probably part of the change that we need.
One super quick thought, I don't know, but I think also you have to engage with the people. I think like when we were talking, when we talk, we always talk about education, and maybe we could talk a little bit about that. But I think like if the population don't ask for this kind of change, it's not going to happen. And the problem is that most of the case we think, as I was thinking like last year, I was like, okay, like this kind of level of people, the chefs, etc., is just for VIP kind of level thing. But what I discovered during this process is like, no. Even with very small and inexpensive products, you can do amazing things. It's like my grandparents, no, they were cooking with but they were cooking with the heart, no. So So I think I mean, at least me and probably other people, we don't realize that food is super important and it's something that you can do a lot with very little. And some of the times we look into the food like gasoline that you just put in the system and keep going. And we don't realize, as you were talking about, food can be something that is healthy and it can make you have a better life, a better quality of life, and make you feel healthier. So I don't know how much of that, I mean, I think that's a little bit what we are trying to do as well, like spread the word out there. But I don't know how much of, how can we impact more in education and just spread the word, like take care of the food, no? That's important. I don't know. No, es un poco lo que comentas de meterlo en la educación, los colegios, etcétera. Ya, solo eso. No sé si puedes decir algo.
I think that is the unique way that I have a 46, and I think that is I feel that my open mind man, but sometimes when the people try to educate me in some subjects, I am strong. Then I always think that the future is in the hands of the new generations, and then if we have to put in value a nice message and nice education for these generations, they will change the world. We can support and can help, but are in the hands of the new generations, change the world with our support, with our knowledge, with everything. No is the responsibility that I am giving to the new generation and I am saying, no, okay, it's for them. You understand me?
Hmm.
I think that we have to create something strong, but sometimes when I speak about this with some people and some politicians, for example, about this, everybody say, it's nice, we will create one, ¿cómo se dice? Un curso, un taller, one taller,
Workshop.
Workshop.
one workshop. No, it's one workshop. Is included these ideas, not from myself, from the people that know the really inside the education plan. No one workshop day. No. The realistic.
Like mathematics.
All the people say, it's a good idea. We will create it 1 week for this. No, it's 1 week. No, it's 1 week.
So we're about out of time. I'm going to ask one last question, which is following up on your comments about chicken livers. Chicken livers. So Eneko, you're a very creative guy. You're always working on new things for your restaurant. I wonder if you could share with us some new idea, dish, whatever that you're working on that you're really excited about, that you don't quite have figured out yet.
I am excited always with the next dish that I am doing, always. When I achieve the perfect dish, or I thought that this the perfect dish, I say, okay, now it's a little bit bored with this. But then I am thinking all the time with a new challenge, all the time.
Okay, so I'm asking you, what is a challenge that you're in the middle of right now? You
Yeah.
haven't quite solved it.
I had one experience some months ago with one college that is working in Basque Culinary also, Eneko Atxa, about the EA, and he proposed me that he put one picture in the EA and say, I say to EA, I need the one fine dining incredible dish. And the EA put one incredible picture, very attractive picture, and after he told to the EA, I need the recipe of this picture. We received the recipe. And after I say, okay, I will cook this recipe now. And we will comprove if it's the same like a picture. Was terrible. Was a terrible. And then we are training with the EA now also, putting the different inputs about our idea about gastronomy.
When you say EA, you're talking about artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I say yes. And I am trying to cook one very traditional dessert that is in the Basque Country. The name is Carolina. but with different idea, because I ordered to intelligent artificial this dessert like a contemporary way with other ingredients, and give me an incredible picture. And now my challenge is achieve one recipe for this dish. It's Carolina from New Generation Carolina. This is
Okay.
my challenge now.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. This is great.